Whether you're working on lowering your handicap or just trying to keep the ball on the fairway, one thing is for sure. The 19th hole is always worth showing up for. And that's where Dan Murphy's steps in. Proud sponsors of Make Me Good at Golf, Dan's has the perfect post-round drinks thanks to their lowest liquor price guarantee. You know you're getting unbeatable value every time, just like your golf game. They're all about bringing those numbers down in the best possible way. So swing by your local store or shop online. Dan Murphy's, where low scores and low prices go hand in hand. T's and C's apply. Remember to drink wise, even if your handicap is a work in progress. G'day, welcome to Make Me Good at Golf, the golfing podcast where three mates are trying to get good at golf. We want you to come along for the ride. Joining me as always in the studio, Mr. 71, his highest test score, his lowest golf score, Damien Fleming.
Thank you very much, Mr. 43. No long ball today.
Long ball Limo out, scratched. He's got a kid and occasionally that kid needs parenting. And sometimes that falls the limo.
Is it a kid or is it his putting? Is he getting a putting lesson right now?
I hope so because it needs work. It needs work.
He calls 4 when he's putting.
I've never seen a worse putter. It is his key to getting down to single figures. There's no doubt about that. But we will move on from long ball Limo not being here because it's all about who is here and what an amazing guest we have today.
Oh.
He is a musician, a man who you might know from Pond, The Growl, a touring member of Tame Impala, one of Australia's biggest musical exports. And this guy, he's not just into golf, he's massively into golf. Please welcome Cam Avery. G'day,
Thanks, Cam.
Thank you guys for having me.
Joining
I'm
us.
very excited to be on the show.
Oh, thanks, mate. And joining us from Dallas, Texas?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. The cool part of Texas. Absolutely.
Austin, Texas.
How long you been there for?
I moved here 3 months ago from New York. I lived here for a little bit in 2017. I've been threatening to move here for years and years and years. And then a friend of mine had a place that he was like, do you want to take this place? So yeah, I moved here 3 months ago.
Amazing.
Properly. Yeah.
Well, we heard on the grapevine that you were into golf. I think Peter Farrelly might have been the person who.
Pete Farrelly told you that?
I'm sure it was Pete Farrelly. Yeah. Have you played?
Wow.
Have you played with Pete?
But he's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He got me. I didn't play golf. I played golf competitively up until I was 20, and was going to come over here to America and play college golf. And before like the music stuff started happening, and then I didn't play for 10 years. And Pete was my neighbor in Ojai. Like, it's a long story, but like, so Pete, we were just friends. We just became friends when I lived in Los Angeles for a little bit. And then he one day was just like, do you want to come out and play golf? And I hadn't played in probably about 6 or 7 years, and I played really well. And then he invited me to play with Bill Murray and and that's literally how I got back into golf. I didn't play golf for like 10 years during the currents era of Tame Impala. Like, I wasn't playing any golf.
Cam,
Pete Farrelly got me back into it.
When Pete goes, oh, do you want to have a hit? Do you play much? What did you say? Seeing you're a former scratch player.
No. This was the best thing. So like, there was a Skins game at a place called Sol Park, which I'm still a member of this place. There was a Skins game on a Tuesday, and I went down there literally dressed like a homeless person. I was wearing just like a t-shirt, jeans, and I had like some tennis shoes on, and was just sort of like, yeah. And I'd had like a couple of beers before we even teed off, and I shot 74 with 6 birdies and won the Skins game. And he was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. He's like, hey, what's this about? Like, he goes, do you want to come to the Bill Murray Celebrity Golf Tournament in a couple of weeks? And so I went with him to that thing as well. And that's how I got to know a lot of like people in golf literally through that interaction.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't play golf for 10 years before Pete Farrelly sort of started getting me going again.
Well done, Pete. And you don't expect when you invite a musician to your golf day for them to shoot 74. That is because it is a weird mix, and we'll get to that. But you mentioned a person who, whenever we hear their name on a golf podcast, we need to explore more. Did you play with Bill Murray?
Well, yeah, I played with, long story. Like, so he has this amazing golf tournament in St. Augustine, Florida. And I got invited down there to go and play. And I was like, I partied too much the night before the tournament that I missed my tee time. Left Bill standing there. And so as payment in the afternoon, you can ask anyone who was at that tournament, they were like, we just flew Cam Avery out from like to Florida to be in the tournament, and I got so shit faced the night before that I missed my tee time, and then so that night I had to play. I played. He has a concert at the end of, so I played with Bill and a bunch of musicians like that night. So he has like a house band, and I got up and played like 2 or 3 songs with the house band as like a sorry.
Amazing.
And can you? I meant you were blurry. Can you remember how he played? He's a handy player, isn't he?
Bill's a great golfer. Rhythm. He's like Mr. Rhythm. Really good rhythm. Like he's been playing his entire life. He's an amazing. I played with him once. I played more with Joel, his brother. I remember we went up to Pebble Beach and played, but I played with Bill once and I played with Joel 2 or 3 times. They're like a big golfing family. I go to their charity tournament every year in Canal Shores in Chicago.
Wow, how good's that?
Which they raise all the money for the first responders. They have this golf tournament at Canal Shores, just sort of in northern Chicago.
There's so much, and there's so many different people you've played with. But let's get back, because like I said, I heard you're into golf, but not only are you just like a great golfer, and we hear about a lot of people choosing between cricket and football, Aussie rules in Australia. I'm not sure I've heard anyone who's chosen between golf and music before.
Never happened.
Yeah. So you were obviously, take us through your golf journey there as a youngster.
Well, it was weird. I didn't play cricket or footy when I was a kid. I played baseball. One of my mum's partners got me into baseball, so I was very into baseball from a very young age. And then I think I was 12, and a guy came to our school and was like, it was called Go Go Golf. He was the junior development officer for WA Golf, and they take you on the school oval, and they were like, "Does anyone want to have a go at golf?" And I like just sort of, because I'd played so much baseball and t-ball, I was kind of just started hitting. He's like, "You've never done this before," so he put me into this sort of talent identification program thing, and then I got into a golf school and very quickly became part of like the West Australian Golf Association into all these like clinics. And then within a year I got accepted into the Royal Perth Golf Club and I started playing golf. And so golf sort of came really naturally to me. And that was just sort of, I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be like Derek Jeter or Elvis Presley, one of the two. And then all of a sudden, and you got to understand, this is 2000. So I was 12. So Tiger Woods has just like done the slam.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was the coolest thing in the world. So I started playing golf. And then I played competitively, up until all through high school until I was 17, 18. And I had every intention of turning professional. So I played golf, Australian Amateur Championships and state series and things like that. And then when I was 18 or 19, I started playing music when I was about 15 or 16 properly. Like I was in a band when I was 16, and that started sort of creeping in a little bit more. And then I think I was 20 when I really, really started playing music all the time. And I sort of just decided that I really loved, if in hindsight, I don't know if I had the competitive edge that I needed to have. Like, I mean, I was competitive, but I wasn't like now, seeing the golfers that I work with now and the professionals that I spend time with, they're unbelievably competitive. And I love the game, but I wasn't like really big into winning things. I remember saying when I was like 18 or 19, I think I said, I'd rather make things, not win things.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a thing. Like that was the changing point.
But be honest, Cam, was there a part of you that went, hang on, the ladies like the musicians more than like the golfers at the moment?
Absolutely. I wasn't going to say that. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, because golf wasn't as sexy as it is now.
Yeah, now it's changed.
I was going to say that. I was like, it was definitely like cigarettes, beer, staying up, like not getting up at 5 a.m.
Sounds like John Daly to me.
Well, I remember like, I remember there was a tournament called the Melville Glades Championship, which is like this, it was a Paxton event. So it was like it went towards my state and Australian rankings. And I'd played the first round, 18 holes. It was 30, it was Sunday. I think it was 36 holes on a Sunday. And I remember that weekend, Oasis were playing in Perth. And I had a choice between playing in this golf tournament and then going and watching Oasis. And I ditched the golf tournament to go and watch Oasis. And that was sort of like in my mind, in hindsight, that was kind of where I was like, I think. I remember seeing Oasis. That was like one of the last shows they played before they broke up. This is like 2004 or 5. And I was sort of like, I think I want to do that. That was a big thing for me.
I'd love to see the Gallagher brothers play golf against each other.
Yeah.
That'd be a good
I don't
contest.
think.
Would they get through 18? You reckon?
No, like
They'd
I
be
think
punching each other out, wouldn't they?
I'd be there for the shit talking. I think.
And Cam, were any gun golfers around your age group that we've gone on to bigger and better things?
Yeah. I played. I went to school with Rick Kulaks. I went to school with Minjee Lee. I played a lot around with Minjee Lee.
Oh, wow.
Min Woo Lee. I remember I used to take Min Woo Lee on like golf camp when I was 18, I became the junior development officer at WA Golf, and I would take like chaperone Min Woo Lee to like golf tournaments when we were little. When he was little, he was 8 or 10. He would have been 8 or 9 then. And I played. J-Day had just turned professional. I played a little bit against Nick Flanagan. I played against Michael Sim. I played against was like Jason Scrivener, Matt Jager. I played that was my contemporaries were like, so Scriv is probably the closest. I used to play against Scriv every weekend, and now he's European Tour player. Yeah.
We had Richie Smith on the show last week. Who's Hannah Green's coach, and Minjee and Min Woo. And I reckon he called Min Woo a dickhead about 6 times.
Well, I never that's the thing. He was too young for me. I was friends with Minjee, and he was too young. He was 8 when I was like in the state series and playing it like at my highest level. He was 8 years old. I think he's 10 years younger than me. Yeah. So I'm 38, so he'd be 28 or something like that. But I remember like, and he wasn't as interested. Minjee was like a phenom back then. Yeah. I remember like coming up through school, she'd win every single golf tournament that every single weekend was Minjee Lee. And then Minwoo, I think I had already started playing music and wasn't as heavily involved in golf, but I remember his name. And then all of a sudden it was about, when I started playing golf, I didn't play golf for 10 years. So I started playing again about 6 years ago. And I was like, Minwoo Lee. I was like, I remember that little shithead.
Well, it sounds like he hasn't changed that much, really.
Yeah. No, but I really love his energy as an athlete, and I think I was watching him hit balls at the US Open last week. He could be top 4 in the world golf, and I think he will be. I think he's a future he's going to be like a Hall of Famer.
We hope so, because we do love his energy. And before we get to the US Open, like I said, you're not just golf curious or like golf. You were there. You're becoming. You got this weird thing where you're almost a golf journalist, or like you are covering golf like a broadcaster on your channels.
Yeah.
But actually, no. I'm going to go. I'm always curious. So when you're a scratch golfer, you were a scratch golfer, when you're younger, what's the difference? And I know you kind of said you didn't maybe have the competitive edge. Can you recognize anything else that separates a scratch golfer from a pro? Is it just a competitive edge, or is there more?
It's got a lot to do with thinking, the way the golfers think. And the discipline that it takes to be a professional golfer is a lot of it's literally like work ethic. You've got to be there like every single day. Like when I talk to someone like an Adam Scott or a DJ or a Spieth, it's truly their obsession, and they're like their little 1%ers they have. But I think the best golfers in the world are able to think their way around the golf course a lot better. So I think, and this is sort of how I think about golf in a philosophical way. It's sort of like, what am I capable of right now? And I think the best golfers in the world, especially professionals, have an acute understanding of what they're capable of. And that's what I think. That's when I've caddied on the PGA Tour. I've seen the best players in the world. Like I saw Tiger win in 2006 at the British Open when I was a kid. And it's purely knowing, like he didn't hit a driver that week because he knew exactly what he had to do. So it's very, I find golf very zen. It's very know thyself. Like what? So if you've got, say you're standing in front of a shot that's 150 yards. It's not just 150 yards. It's 148 yards. It's 140 yards to cover the false edges at the front. There's so many things. There's so many things that come into it. The ground's a little bit wet. There's a little bit of wind in my face. Oh, I hit my 9-iron 150. Yeah. With the wet ground and a bit of the spin, it's probably got to fly about 165. That's where the flat 160. That's where the flat part of the green is. And those guys are able to make those decisions innately. Yeah, innately. Like the way they think, it's more like everyone can hit it good. And at the end of the day, I think the best golfers in the world know how to roll the rock. They can putt.
Yeah,
like they all at that level, they all hit it so good. They like, it's insane how good those guys hit the ball. Like, and they're all hitting it really good. But like those guys, generally the guy who wins every week is on the PGA Tour is Holland Putts.
Well, we had the pleasure. I know you were in Adelaide for Live Golf, as we were. Flem and I played in the Pro-Am. I played with Tyrrell Hatton, and Flem, you played with the big boy.
Big boy Bryson. Yeah.
And
did you? I played with him the year before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
he's got a crazy ball flight.
Yeah, and he was hitting some like driving irons and going miles past our drives, and he had his TrackMan there.
Well,
he was just focused
he hits
on
this
it.
like knuckly. He hits this like knuckly. I don't know how he controls that driver, because he hits this like sort of knuckleball out that window, and it sort of looks like it's not even spinning in the air.
Yeah,
and it just keeps carrying.
And then the club's all the same size. It's, you know, when he's chipping and putting, it doesn't look comfortable.
That's his whole thing. His thing is like eliminating variables. So that's his whole philosophy. So if he can keep the same variables through his bag, he's a strange guy.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he's a quirky guy, but
a golfing Rain Man, I reckon.
Yeah, he's a lot. I mean, he has some times when he's more. You can see him on his like YouTube channel and stuff where he's a lot more chill, but he's a very, very intense guy to be around on a golf course. Like the way he plays golf.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We had Paul Casey for the front nine, and couldn't have been more sociable, and his caddy was brilliant. But Big B was late, and as soon as he put his TrackMan down, you knew that was his focus.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean when I say like those guys. I mean, he's a major champion. Like, those guys are just so 0.1% every single day. And they're like, and it's sort of stuff that builds up over time. So like I always talk, like even when I'm talking to golfers, I interviewed Adam Scott at the Australian Open, and he was like, it's the work I did like 4 months ago that those feels start to carry over. Those feels that they start to accumulate, and all of a sudden you can feel the thing that you've been working on for months. It's all of a sudden start to making sense, and it becomes very innate. So it's. Like their relentless attention to detail, I think, is the thing that really, really separates guys apart.
So with your game now, are you still looking to get better, or are you working on anything specifically?
I played like an. I mean, when I'm working on golf, I work a lot in fundamentals. That's usually the thing that's like, and it's how my body's feeling. Like if I'm on the road, we just did a 7-week tour in Europe, and so you just. Travel like so generally we go show day off, show day off, and you're in a different country every day, and you drive overnight on the tour bus. So if my body's not feeling great, I know I'm not going to be playing great. But when I'm practicing, I literally practice still in fundamentals. I work on my grip, I work on my setup. I've got a pretty good swing plane. That's just sort of something that I learned from a very young age. I used to try to swing it like Adam Scott when I was a kid, and that's kind of has carried over. It's kind of muscle memory. And then, but it's generally my setup makes me, if I'm like too closed, because it rings true with everyone. Everyone's got enough technique and athleticism. I'm like, there's a ball there. You've just got to hit it in that direction. If you're set up wrong and you think you're set up square, your mind starts to compensate for that. So if you look at Scotty Scheffler. Last week, I saw him on the range with his coach. All he was working on was his grip and his hand position. Like the fundamentals is probably as a short answer. That's the one thing I work on the most is like my setup, my grip, ball position, posture, things like that. Listen to Nelly Corder, same thing. That's all she fucking works on.
I like that because how many times do you hit a bad ball and you think I should have stepped back? There's something that didn't feel right. And what you said is like, if you feel like you're not, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with my radar at the moment. I just kind of feel like I'm hitting to the left of a green or right to the green. And it's probably that thing that I'm actually compensating.
Well, like I was going to say, like I remember when we had a really good coach. Like I grew up under the tutelage of Brett Rumford, who was like my mentor from when I was 13 until I was 20. So I met him at Royal Perth Golf Club. Like I was a groomsman at his wedding. He's still like a brother. He's like my older brother, basically. So Rummy used to pick me up from school every day before school and drop me off at school and pick me up from school and then take me to the golf course, and we'd practice all day every day. On the weekends and school holidays when he wasn't on the European tour. But the thing he used to work, once I got to a certain level where I was playing, in WA amateurs and state amateurs and Australian amateurs, he would work on my pre-shot routine a lot. Yeah. Which is like those 12, and we would, especially in state training, we would time it. So it's like 1, 2, 3 steps in, left foot in, right foot in, waggle, look, pull the trigger. So if you practice that, like if you watch Tiger Woods' ones, it's exactly the same every single time within the half second.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter whether there's 30,000 people watching him or 30 people watching him, he's going to hit the same shot. And so that's what I still work on. Like I was playing, was I playing on the week? I played Wing Foot on Monday, and all I was focused on was like my pre-show routine and my rhythm, because it sort of helps me get into a flow to be able to hit good shots.
And also they're controllables though. You can do that whether you're having a good day or a bad day. So you get confidence out of being able to control the controllables.
Well, that's when you see guys pull out of a shot, like, you know, they don't just step back and then step back and hit the shot. They go back to the start. I wrote an article for the publication I have called The Fade called Routine Inevitability. And I referenced, I'm talking about golf. Our whole thing at The Fade is these are conversations that begin with golf. So I try to relate it to something else that other people can relate to in order to tell you what I'm talking about, because golf's boring. But like, the example I used was Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps, before, like, say he's got this, you know, he's got a 50-meter freestyle. He's the greatest Olympian of all time. He would, 24 hours before he started, would start visualizing. He could visualize. He would put his headphones on as he'd eat dinner before the race, the night before the race. He'd visualize every single stroke. He knows exactly how many strokes it takes to do that, and he starts thinking about that. Right. Then he gets up in the morning. He eats exactly the same thing. He like to the caloric, exactly the same thing. Then he gets to the pool. He does this many butterflies, he does this exact same routine, then puts on his suit, and then does kickboards, all this stuff. He does everything exactly the same. So this routine just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. So by the time it's like literally like a 20-hour process. And by the time he gets to the end, it's a 30-second race in a 24-hour process. So it's just the last thing to do. It's the last part of a routine that he started. So if you can create a routine which you can put yourself in before a golf shot, I think that's one of them. That's one thing that I think amateurs don't work on hard enough, is like, use your pre-shot routine. Do you love Royal? I've only played really, like, think about, and if you're uncomfortable at the moment when you're meant to do it, just step back and start again. Yeah. You know, that's literally like, because it's about, golf's about execution points and knowing what you're capable of. So like, if you're standing over a shot, you're like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to do this, but I'm going to try it anyway. It's like, think about it if it was, you know, a business deal or like, you know, you've got to think about, like, what am I capable of right now, and how do I, like, I talked to Claude Harmon a lot about this, execution points. Anyway, I'm ranting.
This is the
podcast to do it on, Cam.
It's called Make Me Good at Golf, Cam.
It's amazing. I've been thinking recently that I don't treat putts, and I'm not a bad putter.
No.
But I don't treat putts with the same respect that I treat other shots. Like, I'm not sure if I'm doing enough work or sometimes I'm just happy to kind of get my putt done and, I'll try to get the 2-putt. Well, you know.
If you look, you should watch, there's a episode of The Fade I did with Lucas Herbert, and he talks about capture speed. Not enough amateurs, same thing. Not enough amateurs think about speed over 10 footers. And so he would do drills with me where I have the same putt that it's like, you know, literally a 12-footer. 15-footer, and he'd be like, okay, this part I want it to hit the back of the hole. So it changes your line slightly. This part I want it to sort of airdrop into the middle as just a subtle speed difference. Yeah. And this one I want to just fall over the edge. Yeah. So all of a sudden you've got to think about, he calls it capture speed. So that's the biggest thing I focus. That's what I mean. Sometimes the best things to focus on in golf are the most simple things. It's like, how fast do you want the ball to be going when it goes in the hole? Like, that's like, is it? And like, you look at Tiger. Tiger talks about it all the time. He's like, if I had an uphill, I wanted to hit it nearly a foot past every time. So I wanted it smacking the back of the cup. Whereas if I had anything that was a flat putt, I almost want it to just fall in the front of the hole. That way you're never 3-putting, you're always 2-putting. So speed is a huge thing that I focus on putting as well. And it's like I said, it's just basic stuff. If
you have an 11 a.m. tee time, what time are you getting to the course? And what's your
an hour, 45 minutes before, depending if I've been out the night before. This morning I had a 9 a.m. So like, my best pal here is Alex. And I remember it was a couple of weeks ago we were out. This is really my favorite bar, like on the planet, is in this town. And I remember we were out listening to country music the night before. He's like, we're tuning off at 8 tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, whatever, buddy. So like, I'm like, I'll be up. And then like, I remember like he works, anyway, he has like a buzzer to get into my building and next to at my door. So I went into like literally like hung over like a room, there's a room service person knocking on my door. So he's like, like 7 a.m. I was like, what? And then all of a sudden I came to. So that was last week. And then today I woke up at 7 for a 9 a.m. tea time. And just like, I was like, I'll just rest my eyes. And then at 8:30 I went like, and like was like, it just depends. I mean, it depends what kind of golf I'm playing. Today we were just gambling. Like we just played 2-on-2 against a couple of buddies. But like if I'm playing a golf tournament, like I played in the US Mid-Am year before last. And like, yeah, I'm usually there and I usually get there an hour and 15. So I kind of stretch and do a bit of mobility. I start with chipping and then, and slowly work my way up. I think that's an important thing. Like I always try and find the middle of the club face just with like 30-meter shots or 20-meter shots. So I can feel just making contact with the center of the club face and then build my way up. And as soon as I start flushing like a 52 degree, then I'll go up into my 7 and pretty quickly get to the top of my bag and then putt for 20 minutes. Like I said, and focus mostly on speed. That's if I'm playing like a proper golf tournament. If I'm not like, today was just gambling and like beers
fun
because it's Sunday.
yeah. And like last week you were at the US Open. Like I said, you become not just a golf, golfer and a golf fan, but you are like now like broadcasting it, and you are the photography. The shots I saw on your Instagram page were incredible. What was it like covering the US Open?
I love being at golf tournaments, and it's something that like people ask me about the Fade all the time. So the Fade started as like a Substack that I started writing about golf. Yeah. One of my mentors here in Texas is a friend of mine called John Springer, and he ran Nike Golf for 14 years. He signed Tiger to Nike. Mm-hmm. I think he signed Roger Federer to Nike as well. He was one of the big bosses at Nike for years, and I met him on the golf course. So he was the one who was like, "You should have your own publication." So I started writing about golf just from a different lens. Like a lot of my articles and podcasts and stuff that I have aren't necessarily just about golf. So I sort of like the first one I wrote that got a bit of attention was called Struggling with My Grip ... on Stoicism. And it was about sort of how I approach music and how I approach golf and how I find, and then the next one I wrote, I think it was called A Game of Millimeters. And that was talking about Formula One driving. And I try and relate it to something else. So I started the Fade just as literally like a way of, expressing myself in another way because I really do adore this game. I was a golfer before I was a musician. If we put it that way. And so it was the first thing that I did in my life. So I started writing about golf and then started podcasting a little bit about it. I did some stuff with the Golfers Journal. I did some stuff with Golfers Digest. And then John was like, why don't you start your own thing? So I started this publication called The Fade. And then KO approached me, I think it was like the Australian Open last year. And they were like, I'm not a big live golf guy, but they're like, yeah, we love the wrap-ups that you do because it's, it's fun. It's quite funny if you say, how was the US Open? It's quite fun. Like I'm obsessed with it and I'm watching it. But when you're trying to cover I've got a very small team. If you're trying to cover a golf tournament and to make a 1.5-minute video to capture an entire day of golf, you've also got to like make a bet on who you think's playing well.
Yeah.
Because you can only get so many shots of like so many players and so much coverage and things. So I start writing copy in the morning. So like, it was like, I started writing copy for like day 3. I think it was day 3. Yeah. And, was it Friday? And it was like DJ and Rambo, Fitzy. It was all these US Open champions like at the top of the thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be it. And like Wyndham Clark, this is going to be like a grudge match of like US Open champions. And then they all made like 10s on the back 9. So now all this footage that I had taken of those players, I was just like, this is worthless.
Don't worry about it.
I was like, because like, and then it was a bunch, but then, so I called like the NBC people. I was like, I need as much footage of Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, and who else? JT.
So Cam, how do you get that footage off NBC? What's your deal?
I have a relationship with USGA.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
And because Fox is a TV provider, and I'm working for KO, so there's a certain amount. There's a certain amount of broadcasts that I'm allowed to use.
Have you got a graphics guy for your?
Yeah. I founded my company. I founded my company in Texas.
Okay.
And I work with and I've got like literally a crack hot team. His name's Ben Stapleton. I didn't. It was literally the fade for a very long time was me, and I had a graphics guy, and now I have like. My head of media assets is literally a 20-year-old guy who he does all of the media assets for the University of Texas football, baseball, basketball. So I'm slowly building this business because I just think as I get older, I mean, I love playing music. I'll never stop playing music, but I think this is something that I really love, and I think that's something I'd like to continue doing as I get older.
Well, if you need a graphics guy in there like mid-50s who used to play cricket for Australia, who's just he's actually gone to Canberra Pro, I believe, recently.
CapCut.
Damien Fleming. Oh, CapCut. Sorry, CapCut. Damien Fleming.
Yeah, that's where I was leading, Cam, basically. Yeah. And I need gigs.
Make Me Good at Golf is all about lowering your handicap. And with Dan Murphy's on board, we're lowering more than just your scores. With their lowest liquor price guarantee, Dan's make sure you're never overpaying for that well-earned drink after your hit with mates. Whether it's a post-round beer or a celebratory bubbly for that unexpected eagle on the 14th, how good is that? Dan Murphy's has your back. Great drinks, lowest prices, and always within reach, online or in store. Dan Murphy's, proud sponsors of Make Me Good at Golf and even prouder price cutters. T's and C's apply. Remember to drink wise.
Hey, always a question at the Opens, and you were there, at all the majors. What do you reckon you would have shot US Open?
Oh, I would have struggled to break 80.
Yeah.
It was like, I reckon I would have shot 82 if I played okay. It was like, it was like, no, not that. So what's that, 10 over? I probably would have shot around 80. It was brutal.
Yeah.
If you tip it out there and then when the wind got up, and there's just so many, it's probably the best test, I think. It's probably one of the greatest tests that the US Open has. It's incredible. That place is like, the fairways looked forgiving when you're out there. So you can kind of see it in front of you. And then if you're slightly out of position on a fairway with where some of the pins are, you're just aiming for the flat spot on the green.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of wind there. Either side of the greens in those green complexes, you're just kind of dead. And if it runs off, now you're in the fescue and you're just absolutely cactus. Like it was playing quite soft Thursday, Friday. And then on the weekend, they started to bake those greens. You could see on the coverage, you could see the greens were getting a bit more brown. And it's like that, like the hardest, one of the hardest holes in the course. I think it played like 4.8 or 4.6 is the 10th hole. It's 320 yards long. So you hit a 4-iron down there and it runs all the way down the slope and almost closer to the green, the more kind of cactus you are. That birdie that the Wyndham made on the 10th kind of won him the golf tournament. That and the birdie on 16. To keep his head above water.
Yeah.
When you see Scotty Scheffler putt through the green into the water, you know it's a tough course.
Yeah. Oh, it was watching Adam Scott. Like Scotty's a friend of mine, and I know how good he hits it. And he didn't hit it great last week. He sort of lost a bit of control off the tee, but just the attention to detail you have to have on tee shots. And some of them aren't they don't look very hard. Like you kind of there's the fairway there. But, so you're trying to hit a draw into a sloping fairway this way. And if it slopes too far that way, then you're trying to hit to a green, which is tilted away from you. There's only so many places on those greens you can hit the ball.
I wouldn't want to be a member there. Basically,
yeah. I would. It's the greatest golf course on the planet.
No. Well, on that is what do you have a top 3, top 5 courses that you play?
There's a golf course next door called National Golf Links of America that I play quite a lot, and that's even I know a lot of the members there. And I texted one of the members when I was out there because I could see that's the one with the windmill. And it's literally it abuts Shinnecock. So, and they share a lot of members. And I could see the windmill, and I texted my friend, and I was like, there's Shinnecock's cooler little brother, and he texted me. He's like half as hard, twice as fun, because Shinnecock is like a beast. But I mean, my favorite course is I lived in New York for 10 years, so and I didn't, like I said, I didn't play a lot of golf. In my like 20s. I think I started playing again when I was 31. So I've been playing for it again for about 6 years. But my favorite is like Fisher's Island is up there. It's in between Long Island and Connecticut. There's a place called Fisher's Island. That's probably my favorite golf course. And then National Golf Links of America, which is up there as well. The Northeast is pound for pound the best golf on the fucking planet. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable up there because especially if you take in like Pine Valley, Marion, like if you take in New Jersey and Philadelphia, it's just because of like the turn of the century and the industrialists that lived there could afford to build country clubs, and they've been there for 100 years. So it's probably Fisher's Island, National Golf Links of America. I went down to play Tara Edie later last year, which was amazing in New Zealand, which is a joke. I played
Tiari, the links, the south and north. I didn't get on that.
Yeah.
It must have been amazing.
I played Tara Edie. It's hard to like nail it down to like my favorite courses.
When you come back home, where do you like to play, Cam?
In Australia?
Yeah.
I play Kingston Heath. I play a lot at. I know a lot of the members at Kingston Heath. So I love Kingston Heath.
Yeah.
I love Royal. I've only played Royal Melbourne. I've only played West once. But that place is heaven. But I love Kingston Heath. Where else in Australia? There's a really good course in Tasmania called 7 Mile Beach, which Matty Goggins opened up. Yeah. Royal Sydney. I'm a member of Royal Perth, so I fortunately am allowed to play all the Royal courses. Royal Sydney. I haven't been there since they've done the reno. Where else in Australia? Like Lake Carrinup Country Club in Perth is
Lake Carrinup. That's
that's a beast.
Yeah, that's my first card because I got my first handicap through this podcast about a year ago now.
Yeah,
and that was my first round for my first card, and I think I had 114. I had.
Well, that place is a beast. That's that's a serious golf course. They used to have the Johnny Walker Classic there when I was like 13. I remember that was like my mum found in my house the other day. She found a Sergio Garcia's ball that he gave me. It said Sergio on it, like that I scummed off him when I was like 10, 13 or 14 years old. Yeah.
I think they serve more wine at Lake Carrinup than anywhere else in Western Australia. Like it's some kind of weird. There's a certain day, I think maybe a Wednesday, a comp day, where they serve more red wine than anywhere else in Western Australia.
Is Scotty coming to member there?
I think so. Yeah, Scotty and Tards and DJ Carlos.
It's like I feel I've drank a lot of wine there. The other best wine, the best hang in golf. There you go. They're my golf courses. Like the best hang in golf is probably Bel Air Country Club. I've got a lot of friends who members at Bel Air Country Club. And if you go there on a Friday, I remember I had a girlfriend at the time, and I'd go there and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing today?" And I was like, "I'm gonna go play golf at Bel Air." And I was like, "I'll see you tonight." She's like, "I'll see you tomorrow," because it's just it's like the Friday afternoon hang at Bel Air, and everyone's got a wine locker. So you see guys running up bottles of wine. It's just and there's dice and cards, and it's very fun. That's probably the best hang in golf, I would say.
I love it. So when you took these 10 years off, how far away was golf from your mind? Was it just that you were just too busy, or were you just not interested?
I think the first 2 years I wasn't thinking about it I would always keep an eye on the majors. I'd always watch golf. I watch a little bit of golf. But I think it was an identity thing. I was sort of I had become this musician and I was getting paid to do it. And I think it really overtook my life. So I wasn't really thinking about golf that much. Once I guess you got to think I'm 20. I think it was 20 when I stopped playing, and my persona kind of changed. I was all of a sudden I'm going to be a musician. This is what I'm going to do. I don't think I got paid full time. I don't think I could quit my job playing music until I was 22 or 23. But it was I remember there was everything that I thought about. So golf just sort of drifted apart away from my mind. And I remember feeling if I was going to be good at music, in the same way I was at golf. And even I remember I had to tell Brett Rumford that I didn't want to play competitive golf anymore. I had to go and tell him. He literally reared me to be
And what was it like when you said you're quitting to take up music?
You know what he did? What he did? He goes, it doesn't matter. He bought me a guitar the next day.
Oh, wow.
He said, I want you to pick something in your life. He goes, you're extremely talented at golf. He's like, he said this to me. It sounds like I'm bragging, but he's like, you've got more talent in your left pinky than I ever had. He's like, you're a great golfer, but you really, really need to pick something and focus on it. Yeah. And again, it was like, and I think music I was very fortunate. Music came even more naturally to me than sort of golf did as a young kid. So I sort of fell into being a musician. I think I'd yearned a bit more for community. And so all of a sudden when I started playing in bands and I had friends, and like I said, and the girls and the rock and roll and that's all
lifestyle.
Part of it. But I think it was like the community of when I sort of started being a musician in Perth. I think I in Fremantle first and foremost, and it was like I think I really loved that rather than literally. I think about this all the time. I wish someone had like really. Brett was still playing on tour, so it wasn't his responsibility. And I wish someone had given me more of a kick up the arse when I was a kid. Like, but you know, I'm not unhappy with what happened. But I remember like all of a sudden, I wasn't getting up at 7 a.m. and just going putting and chipping balls by myself for 12 hours a day. I felt like it wasn't like this thing that was far away from me. This thing like, I'm going to go to college and then I'm going to go on the PGA Tour or something like that. It was this thing was like, I'm in a band. I'm playing a show this fucking weekend, you know. All of a sudden I was like, I was a musician. And I sort of felt this little bit more sense of belonging, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that was probably the biggest thing. So I think golf I just didn't really think about it for about 10 years. And if I'm being really brutally honest, I remember I was going through a separation, and then I was living in Ojai, and Pete was my neighbor, and I didn't really have anything. I was sort of like not on tour, wasn't working that much, and so Pete literally was the one who like was like, why don't we go play some golf? You know, like so Pete was the genesis of getting me back into golf. And then at that Bill Murray Celebrity Golf Tournament, it was where I met like most of my golf buddies who I'm still friends with today. Like, and so it was the beginning of all that. So to answer your question, golf really wasn't in my mind because I think it was like. And then I moved to America, and then I was, you know, all of a sudden, Tame Impala was like heaving because that Currents album came out in 2015. So then all of a sudden that was just going 100 miles an hour. So like golf wasn't really a part of my mind. I was just trying to be a musician. And like I got signed to a record label in 2014 in America. So my mind just became consumed with just becoming the best musician that I could become, I think.
But just, you mentioned that timing, and we've spoken a bit about on the podcast about Alice Cooper talking about how golf got him through addiction, and you know you got a local
lowest score of 65 to Alice Cooper,
which I completely believe.
Yeah. And I played with him when I was 13 years old.
Oh
wow!
I played with Alice. Yeah, he was playing a show in Perth, and the golf pro, his name's Brad Logan. He's a member at Royal Perth. Was like, hey, do you want to play with Alice Cooper tomorrow? And I was like, yeah.
Oh,
so I played with Alice
too.
When I was like 13 or 14, I think.
He hits a lot of rescues, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he's got a lot of game improvement clubs, but he's a great golfer. He plays off like a 4 or something like that.
And he apparently plays every day. So,
sorry to interrupt you. You were talking about
no. And you go to any golf club, and often there are people who maybe have lost partners, you know, and like find their community in golf. And you mentioned you were going through a separation. Like, was golf part of the healing, and like how much did it mean to you, even from like a mental, emotional level?
Massively. Like I felt. I mean, being a musician sometimes is a bit. You have your bandmates, but I feel like I'm the only one who lives full time in the States, and I sort of felt like a little. You have this, you know, when you're on the road, and like the Tame Impala guys are closer, more like brothers than they are bandmates to me. Like we've been friends since we were kids, but I remember feeling like I didn't. I was going through the separation, and there was a lot of trauma, and I remember feeling like I wasn't myself. And I think so. So when Pete got me back into golf, I began just going and playing at this place called Sol Park in Ojai. I would just go down there at like 4 p.m. at twilight and just play 9 holes by myself, and not plugged into anything, not opening an email, I would just and golf's about rhythm and breathing, and you're playing against yourself. That's when I say golf's very zen. So all of a sudden I was out there by myself at dusk, I would give myself a lot of time to think. And also, like I said, you can't really think about anything else when you're trying to play good golf. It's not like, and if you are, you're not going to play well. So I would take this like I would go play 9 holes at like twilight. And so golf became, and because it was such a disciplined practice in my life, it was something that I came back to that helped me center myself. So golf definitely helped me out of like a huge rut that I was in my life, where I was having probably a bit of an identity crisis, because this is really, it wasn't very cool to like golf in 2014 when you're trying to be in a rock and roll band, but it's like, but this is purely, it's purely who I am it's like some of the most formative years of my life I spent playing golf. So I think it's a very leveling thing for me. And I found that, like I said, the discipline of it is the thing that's what I think the golf is. Golf is the only game where no one's hitting the ball back at you. No one's trying to no one can affect your game. It's like, it's you, it's literally, it's the most self-reliant game. Like if you haven't done the work weeks ago, it's the most self-responsible game in the world. It's like, there's no one, if you lose, it's not because they beat you, it's you beat yourself.
Yeah,
like it's the most, it's the most zen. That's why I said, like, it's like people try and say to me, why do you like golf? I was like, I love the mental aspect of golf. That's like my whole brand at the Fade is called Conversations That Begin With Golf. And I try and talk about the huge mental bounds that your brain goes through when you become a great golfer. And like, and it's about tactics. It's about strategy. But like the strangest, the thing that ends up when you become very, very good at golf, you like I said, yourself. Like people go, is golf like chess? I'm like, no, because someone's moving a piece when you're playing chess. I was like, golf's like yoga for like 35-year-old men. It's like know what you are capable of doing at every given time. Like, can I hit that 9-iron 160 yards into the wind, like now, or should I hit an 8-iron and punch it into the front edge of the green and just try and make a par? Like, I don't know. That's the way I see golf. So to answer your question, golf definitely became a thing where like just being out there made me a little bit more responsible and sort of helped me mentally turn a corner. Definitely. Absolutely.
And so is there any correlations between golf and playing in the band or instrument? Have you done all the work going into concerts or do you improvise much in concerts?
Yeah, I wrote. I definitely wrote something about this. It's about the preparation that you do. I relate it to like jazz. Like if you understand the scale and the music, it gives you more options to do anything when someone tries to tell you to improvise. In a concert, whereas in golf, if you've got all the shots, it gives you more options. So I think music, golf and music, I think the thing that I took away from, I'm very good at the music that I'm good at, because I think golf instilled a deep sense of discipline in me when I was younger. So I think like I was very good at just shedding hours on the driving range and so then when I started to play music, I remember like before I was in Pond, I wasn't a drummer at all. And then Kevin had left Pond and I wanted to be the drummer and I barely played any drums. So I spent like every day practicing drums like I used to practice golf. I would do it for like 6 or 7, drove my girlfriend fucking nuts. And like I would just play drums for like literally 6 hours a day until I'd learned how to do the things.
Yeah, I reckon you want to go into a relationship knowing that there's a drummer involved. That's a hard one to spring. I mean, golf's bad enough to say, I'm taking up golf, sweetie. I'm taking up drumming.
I love the relationship that like some of my friends have and their wives. Some of them are like, yeah, he just like, it was so funny. I was at like a birthday party on Friday, and I met this guy who's a member at Austin Country Club, and I was like, how often do you get to play? I was like, I usually get to play, like once or twice a month. And his wife just turned around and was like, are you serious? And he was like, or like Alex, I was just at my friend Alex's house, and when I met him, I was DJing actually in Aspen. I was opening for Fisher. This is a funny story. I was opening for Fisher in Aspen. I had did a DJ set because I sometimes do that for like beer money, and I was DJing for opening for Fisher. And Fisher was going on and I just got off stage and I went to the back of the bar. And this guy's standing there and he goes like, weren't you just on stage? And I was like, yeah. He goes like, you a DJ? I was like, not really. I'm a musician, but I'm here because I've got this thing and I'm working with the X Games because I have a sports media company. He's like, oh, cool. What sport? And I was like, this is like in a nightclub. And I've gone golf, and he's just gone like, And his wife, who was there, she's like, "Oh, not the G word! God damn it!" Like, and so we start just going like two Labradors, just going, like it's just like, "Oh, we can play, oh, what do you play golf?" Like, he's one of my best friends now. Like that's the other thing about golf. Like some of the friends I have now from when I've been playing golf the last 6 years. Like one of my friends, Dom, he's like in his 60s investment banker. We're like best buddies. And like, how do you guys know each other? Just golf. Like we're just like best friends.
But that's a great thing about golf. The people who come into your life because of golf, and your life becomes just more richer. Like I think. Okay, look, can we touch on this before we let you go? Tame Impala, like what? Like for those who aren't paying attention, like Tame Impala is one of our biggest musical exports, in Australia, and it's just exploding around the world. Has for 10, 15 years now. What's it like being part of it?
I mean, I've count myself very, very lucky. The funny reason I'm in Tame Impala is because I was the golf pro at Royal Perth Golf Club. He's a trainee golf professional. His cousin is now Kevin's wife. So they went to school together. So Sophie is one of my best friends, Kevin Parker's wife. Her cousin was the golf pro. So I used to just hang out with the golf pro every day because I would practice until dusk every day. And then every now and again he'd go, "Oh, do you want to come to a barbecue on the weekend?" I got to know his cousin Sophie. And I was still playing music, and Sophie one day was like, "Hey, you should come and see my friend's band. They're really good. I think you'd like them. They're called Tame Impala."
Wow.
Like, sometimes she's like, "You did nothing without me." No, so Sophie but Tame, I count myself incredibly lucky. Like I think when I was a kid, my like school counselor thought I was insane. I said, "I'm going to be in a rock and roll band, or I'm going to be the best golfer in the world." And I think I joined right at when lonerism was happening. But me and Kevin had a house in Subiaco, like sort of Shenton Park area. When he was recording, I was recording a Grail record, and he was recording Lonerism, the second record for Tame Impala. So me and him became roommates pretty much like a year after Sophie introduced us. After like Inner Speaker had come out. So I find so I saw him put out Lonerism, and I started playing in the band in probably 2013 or 12 or 13. I was actually opening for Tame Impala as the Growl in America, and midway through that tour, Kevin was like, "I'm going to need you to be in Tame Impala." And then you got me to play bass, and I was like, "I don't play bass." He's like, "I've seen you play bass. You can play bass.
You can do it."
And then so I count myself very incredibly lucky. I think Kevin, to answer your question, sorry, I'm getting long-winded answers, but Kevin, when I remember moving to America, I remember, and as I was coming up as a musician, I remember going like, "Oh, when I go to LA, I'm going to meet like some amazing producers and musicians, and there's going to be someone who's not my roommate who's in Tame Impala." And I remember like when he had made Lonerism, I was like, I was one of the first people to hear like Feels Like It Only Goes Backwards and Elephant and all those kind of ones, because he recorded them in the front room of our house. And I remember thinking like, this he showed me some of the songs, and I remember thinking like, I've never heard anything like this. And I remember feeling like I've never seen anyone as devoted to, like he just does it all day, every day. And I remember when I came to America, and I kept thinking I would meet someone who's a better producer and a better songwriter and a better musician. I've still to this day, I've never met a musician, anything close to what Kevin Parker is as far as chords, melody, being able to mix his records. No one touches those albums. Like it's
all him, isn't it? Yeah.
He performs it, writes it, produces it, mixes it. Like he's part of the mastering process. It's like he's like, I've never met anybody with that level of and it's also music and art. It's about choices. That's why I relate to golf sometimes. It's about making choices. And I've never met someone with that much conviction in music and commitment to choice. Like this is what I'm doing. Like I count myself very lucky. I remember the first time we were in a car, he showed me Let It Happen when we were driving to like the music shop one day when I went back to Perth. When I was living in America, and I went back to see him in Perth, and he showed me Let It Happen. And I remember like that was like when Currents came out. That was a whole different deal. That was like the whole world changed.
So when he plays you a song, is he even asking for feedback, or is this like
No, I mean, like, yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I've got in trouble a couple of times because, like, I'm like too brutally honest with him. And one time I'd had like too much to drink, and I was like, I don't know if this is any good. And then he didn't show me anything for ages. Like,
so he's asking for positive feedback. That's what he's asking for.
No. Like, he very much. But I don't think he needs it. Like, he's like, I've never met a guy. I think there's one or two people, probably Dom and a couple other people like who he shows, or Jay Watson is the second best musician I've ever met. Being in part of that band, for me, I consider myself very lucky. Like I played with a bunch of drummers all over the world. I played a little bit with the Arctic Monkeys, and I played a little bit with a lot of amazing musicians around the world. And I've still never met a drummer as good as Julian Barbagallo. Jay Watson is an absolute freak of nature. Like Dom is the most I've never met anyone who's so devoted to what he does. Like, so I count myself extremely lucky to be part of that group of people, in playing in the band and the journey that it's taken me on, and the people that I've got to meet, and, otherwise you'd just be talking to some failed college golfer.
Hey, I play a bit of bass.
We would have made it work. We would have made it work. Cam, and also your solo album, one of your solo albums I listened to a little while ago, Pipe Dreams. And it's like you mentioned earlier that you grew up wanting to be like either Derek Jeter or Elvis Presley, and like that is evident on that album. That is like a throwback to like romantic kind of crooner kind of style. I mean, where'd that come from?
I was trying to go for this. I was a huge Elvis Presley man. I grew up my mum raised me on like Aretha Franklin and Elvis Presley, and then as I got older, I listened to a lot of Frank Sinatra. And I love Lee Hazelwood and that era of like 70s sort of psychedelia. And so when I moved to America and I got signed to this record deal, I recorded that album in the same room where they recorded like the strings for Psycho. Like Hollywood sort of, and I definitely was sort of drinking the Kool-Aid when I was like 26, 27, living in LA. Like I was like, I'm going to make a Los Angeles album that's big. Like the people who play on that album, like that's Jay Bella is just playing drums on that record. I recorded most of the strings at Jackson Brown's studio. Jackson's a friend of mine. Like it's like a Hollywood album. That's what it sounds like it does. Cause it's like a big, like I love those like big sort of wrecking crew albums. So we had like timpanis and strings, and I was very much I had a delusion of grandeur when I was 27 years old. The music that I write now is a little bit different. Like my new solo record is literally just slap steel, upright bass, and guitar. Because I grew up like my music. The music I loved before I met the Tame Impala guys was very much. I love Tom Waits. I love old blues music. I love Nick Cave. I like Leonard Cohen. And so like my musical taste, like so funny. Like the Tame Impala guys have very much informed my musical taste. But before that, it was like jazz and blues and a lot of gospel music. So that's where all that kind of stuff comes from. That's where my solo stuff comes from.
Have you come across the National boys at all? I'm a big fan of the National.
Yeah. My agent broke the National. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Especially when we first started when we first started touring, the National were around a lot. Yeah. Like, I've never met those guys. I spent a lot of time around the Black Keys when I was young. We were kind of, Tame Impala was just at the trail end of like that era of bands where it was like Franz Ferdinand and Queens of the Stone Age and MGMT. And I remember when I first started touring, it was all just bands. There was anything. And it's coming back around now if you think about Fontaines DC, and there's a lot more like rock and roll bands coming, because I feel like for a decade it was just solo artists for a long time. But is your new album out, or is it on the way, or? It's on the way. I'm going to release something. I made a live EP last time I was back in Perth. I recorded with some of my oldest friends. Lucky Oceans played steel on it. I might put that on Spotify like in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
Like my relationship with my solo stuff is very passive at the moment because I'm just so busy with Tame Impala, and I am really committed to building the Fade into. So basically, the Fade now has become even a sports agency. I'm starting to sign players and look after them as from a management point of view, and because I love working in the game. So I started doing, like you said, coverage and broadcasts, and so the media company's not going anywhere. But I started working with players because I think I see myself in a couple of like kids who I know who are going to college next year in America, and I wish someone had given me a bit more. No, it's not like it's nobody's fault, but I wish there was, especially for Australian kids who are going to be entering the NIL college network. So I think my music, my relationship with my solo stuff, I'm just going to put stuff out whenever I can, whenever I have time. But a lot of my focus has been towards building the fade and playing in Tame Impala this year.
And with signing the players, what sort of level do they have to be? Is there room for like a 50-year-old 22 handicapper?
22 handicapper?
Well, it just depends.
About anyone specifically.
We've got it. I've literally, now that I'm thinking about it, we've got this sort of apprenticeship going. If you can do graphic design, I'm happy.
Pixels Fleming's in.
Follow at Bowlologist. You'll get a good look at my $1 million graphics.
Can I just say on a personal note, I obviously adored growing up watching you play cricket, Tame as well. But Peter, I was like a religious. I'm just old enough. I had a TV about the size of my computer screen right now, like this tiny little TV, and I was like a religious Rove watcher as a child. And I used to adored when you would come on to that show. Like I was like, it was like I literally sticks in my mind as like a 11, 12-year-old watching Rove as a kid. It was like I was it was some of my favorite things.
That is brilliant.
I've ever seen. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Now we're finishing up, but just as we go, will the Fremantle Dockers win the premiership, and by how many points?
Yeah, Tame Impala, number one ticket holders of Fremantle.
I am.
Look at him; he's a little bit coy.
Oh man! It's man. They are. I think they can do. I don't want to jinx it, man. I'm not going to say anything about it. Like it's literally like I cried my eyes out when the Hawks beat us. We had to play a show in New York the day of that grand final. So we flew early and we got our crew to set up our projector screen that we used for the show. We got them to set it up and put the game on, and we watched it at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And that last quarter just killed me. Like I went outside and just started smoking cigarettes. I couldn't even watch the game.
Well, I'm a Hawks supporter. I've got it on DVD if you need to. If you're thinking about.
I think I'm gonna reserve my judgment. Have me back on the show in September, and we can talk about finals footy.
It's 1 week at a time.
Flagmantle is a real thing. As soon as Collingwood season's over, which I'm looking at my watch, it might be soon. I am on the Flagmantle bandwagon.
A lot of my
it's going to happen. I think Mason Cox.
I just think they've got the right group of people, and J-Lo's doing a great job. I think it's great. I feel bad for Natty Fife. He's a friend. Nat's a good friend of mine, and I was like, you couldn't have stayed one more year.
Yeah, he absolutely deserves it. Would you come back? Would you come back for it?
Yeah, if I'm not at the President's Cup. I don't even want to think about it. Like, because I was talking to the CEO of the President's Cup the other day, and I was like, I'm going to be at the tournament because I'm very much the Fader are very much going to be a part of working with the international team this year at the President's Cup in Medina. So I'll be covering a lot. I'll be doing a lot of work with the international team. It's called they're doing a thing called Build the Shield, which I'm hopefully going to be a big part of. But then a lot of the boys were like, that's the grand final weekend is that weekend, and I was like, let's not even put that in my mind. I was like, but I if I'm being brutally honest, I'd fly back and sell my left arm to be. If I'm not there. I've just been too much pain with the Dockers. Like it's like if I'm not there when they win, I think I'd be pretty sad.
I suspect it'd be the first time in Fremantle's history, in the AFL's history, that Fremantle will go into a grand final as favourites. Like they're favourites at the moment. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, like it's so funny talking about it we have group chats and shit like that, and it's so funny talking about it. And I'm very hesitant to get ahead of myself, but I think. It's just I don't know.
But it's so funny because it's the same conversation. Speaking about Rove, he's a massive Fremantle fan, and the way you've answered all this is exactly the way I spoke. We had dinner last week. Is exactly how he responded when I was putting it to him. So there's a feeling.
Yeah, we're all very like that's what I mean. Like it's like I'm good friends with Mundy and McFarlane and all those guys, and I've got a few things I text them back and forth, and I'm just sort of going like, looking good. They're like, yep. It's just that. Yep. Looking great. Like, it's just kind of like, just keep it going. Just keep it going.
And mate, when do people get onto the fade? If people want to engage with the fade and read your stuff, where do they go?
It's on Instagram. If you go to Instagram, it's just like the handle. It's just called the fade.
All right, we're on it.
I've got a Substack that I put something up every week. I haven't done it in a little while. I just put one up yesterday about using half sets and how that can make you a better golfer, playing like 2, 4, 6, 8 iron. It's called Less is More. And then in the coming months, I'll be starting a similar thing to this. I'll be starting some YouTube stuff and some And we're sort of building the company. I'm building it out of Texas. That's why I'm here. So I've built a team around me in Texas. So, and when I'm not doing, I'm literally going to Nashville tomorrow to go on tour with Tame Impala for 5 weeks.
Wow.
So when I'm not touring, I'll be doing Fade stuff. But yeah, just go to the Instagram. I think that's the easiest way to find me.
Cam,
how good,
mate! It's been an absolute pleasure. So we'll probably keep you longer than we were going to, but it's been so much to talk about. But mate, thank you so much for joining us. Continue on your golf journey. We'll be following it. And when you're back in Australia,
let's have a hit when I'm back in Australia.
Would love that.
Definitely, Cam.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us, Cam, on Make Me.
Thanks for having me.
Good at
Golf.
If you're listening to Make Me Good at Golf, chances are you're trying to lower your handicap. And just like your swing, Dan Murphy's is all about keeping the numbers down, especially when it comes to price. As proud sponsors of the pod, Dan brings you their lowest liquor price guarantee. So whether you're celebrating a PB or still struggling to get your handicap moving in the right direction, you're never overpaying for a post-round drink. Dan Murphy's, great drinks, lowest prices, and one more way to level up your game. T's and C's apply. Remember to drink wise.